12th century, when the monk Asa introduced tea to Japan from China, it was the custom in China to prepare the tea by grinding down the leaves into a powder and then beating them in a bowl. This method of preparation was later abandoned by the Chinese but adopted by the Japanese, who integrated it into their ritual of chanoyu, known to most people as the Japanese tea ceremony. Chanoyu is the most elaborate form of the way of tea, also known as chado. The four basic principles of the way of tea are harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Before the tea leaves become matcha, they are known as tencha. Tencha are the finely chopped tea leaves grown in the same way as gyokuro. This means that they are placed under a covering for 3 weeks to shade them before the harvest. This shading encourages the production of chlorophyll, which gives matcha its deep green colour. To avoid the occasional harshness and intentional underlying bitterness of other Japanese green teas, tencha bushes are normally older than 30 years old, so quite mature. After the harvest, the teas are quickly steamed to prevent oxidation, dried but not rolled, and then they are each individually stemmed and deveined, which is a long and tedious process. After the deveining and the stemming of the tencha leaves, they are placed between two granite or stone millstones and ground into a fine powder. These stones are designed in a way to prevent overheating, as it takes around an hour of grinding to get around 30 grams of matcha, which would fit in a tin like this. The chawan is the bowl from which we drink and we prepare the matcha. These bowls are normally handmade and incorporate the wabi-sabi philosophy, a spiritual and aesthetic concept based on the principles of solitude and austerity. The chasaku is the spoon or scoop we use for the tea, and it's made from bamboo. And the chasen is the whisk we use. The chasen is normally made from a single piece of bamboo, is also handmade, and has curved tines at the end to protect them. The formal tea ceremony takes years of training to master, so today we'll be showing you how to make matcha at home, still using traditional tea equipment, and how to enjoy it in a way that's faster and doesn't take so long. Our matcha comes from the region of Kagoshima on the island of Kyushu in Japan. It is of course ceremonial grade and organic, and it's got a deep green colour, and as you can see it's a very fine powder. Teas like this should arrive vacuum packed and kind of protected like this in order for their freshness to remain when you get them. To start with our preparation of the matcha, we're going to warm the bowl. So I've got some hot water here. I'm just going to pour in a bit. And this should warm up the bowl a bit for us to drink. I'm also going to use the chasen, and I'm going to dip it in a bit and move it around. This will help it soften, and it will prevent staining from when we use it later to make the tea. So, afterwards, we're going to make the tea. So I've got a sieve here. The tea is going to be sieved through in order to avoid any lumpiness and to make the brew especially finely. We're going to use 2 chasakus worth of matcha for a bowl this size, and the more exact measurement is 2 grams per 60 milliliters of water. So I'm just going to sieve it through, make sure it's very, very fine when it arrives in the bowl. This will make the brew much more uniform, and the taste and the flavours will come out a lot better. So there we go. So now the powder is in the bottom of the bowl, and I'm going to add the water. It is very important that the water is not too hot. This water has reached a temperature of 80 degrees and we've kept it warm here. So I'm just going to pour a bit in. You don't need too much. Perfect. And then to whisk, what we aim to do is go for a W shape. It is best not to touch the bottom of the bowl in order to create a nicer foam. And we want to avoid the formation of too many bubbles on top, but we do want a nice foam. The action should be focused in the wrist, because if you use the whole hand or the whole arm, it can get very tiring. And it has to be quite quick and in the W form. So here we go. It's a good idea to hold the bowl quite steady as well. And then at the end, you carefully lift the whisk, carefully bursting any big bubbles that may be on the surface. There we go. We have our matcha brew. We drink it straight from the bowl. We don't need to pour it. So yes, here we go. It smells very green. It's got lots of vegetal characteristics to it, to its aroma. And when you drink it, on the surface it seems quite green vegetable, algae-like, but when you dig a bit deeper, you get hints of artichoke and the umami in it, or the mouthfeel. It's absolutely incredible. So that is how you make matcha using traditional tools, but not in a tea ceremony, but in an informal setting at home.